Okay, so picture this. You're just listening to your favorite late-night radio show, like any other night, and all of a sudden, the host, a voice you've known and trusted for years, goes completely off script. In this raw, really emotional broadcast, he announces that this might be it. This might be his last night on the air. Because he's about to resign from the station that's been his home for 8 years. This really happened, and it's the story of Filipino DJ Papa Jackson.
And it all kicks off with this, just a gut punch of a line. This tells you right away this isn't some simple career change. Now, something was taken from him, something so important that losing it literally felt like being shattered. So you gotta ask, right? What was taken, and why did it cut so incredibly deep?
To really get to the heart of his decision, we have to understand this one word he kept coming back to: mandate. See, for him, this wasn't about quitting a job. It was a reaction to having his leadership, his entire purpose at that station, just stripped away from him.
What's so powerful here is the feeling of helplessness. He felt like he wasn't given any choice in the matter. The authority, the responsibility that he had earned and, really cherished for 8 years were, in his words, just taken. And when that happened, he felt like the only honorable thing left to do was to just let go of everything.
And this is where you really see the disconnect, right? On one side, you've got his years and years of total dedication. And on the other, these small, cold, impersonal things. I mean, can you imagine showing up to find the office you basically built padlocked shut? Or getting all your instructions through formal memos when you used to work together side by side? To him, this wasn't just some new policy. It felt like a total lack of respect.
So, to really grasp the pain of this moment, we have to understand just how deep his investment went. His commitment was absolutely immense. So let's rewind a bit and see just how much of himself he really poured into this station.
8 years. Just think about that for a second. In the world of media, things move so fast. 8 years at one place? That's practically a lifetime. It was a commitment that went way, way beyond a simple contract.
And look at what that commitment meant. He didn't just clock in and clock out. The man poured his soul into that place. He even gave up his personal, super profitable Cardiac brand to make it an official brand for the station. He put his job before his family, before relationships. He truly thought this was his retiring company, and he said his love for it reached a molecular level. This was so much more than a job.
I mean, he said it best himself. It wasn't just a job. It was spiritual to him. He said, it's like it's your religion. And when you feel that passionately about what you do, something that feels like a betrayal, well, it doesn't just sting. It feels like a full-blown crisis of faith.
So, with all this emotional weight just building and building, what was the final straw? You might think it was another angry memo or a locked door, but no. It was 2 quiet, devastatingly honest conversations with his mother.
The first hit came from his mom. You know how a parent can just reframe everything in a single sentence? She reminded him of his deepest sacrifices, like putting his job first, even before visiting her during the pandemic. And then she just laid it out there. Quote, "And this is how they treat you?" That one observation just made the unfairness of it all impossible to ignore.
And then this. This was the moment it all changed. His mother looked at him and said, "Son, it's okay to stop now." And he explained just how huge this was because his mother relies on him for financial support. For her to say that meant she was putting his happiness, his well-being, ahead of her own security. It was the ultimate permission slip to finally put himself first.
Okay, so that brings us to the goodbye itself. Why on earth do it live on the air? So abrupt, so public. Well, the reason is actually rooted in a sense of justice for a friend.
See, he'd seen this movie before. His old partner Chico had been let go and was never given the chance to say a proper farewell to their listeners. He was afraid the same thing would happen to him, that he'd be silenced come Monday morning. So he seized his last chance. He took control of his own story and made sure he could leave on his own terms.
But what's kind of amazing is that even in this raw moment of pain and, defiance, he still made time for gratitude. He thanked the station president for the opportunity, his co-host for her loyalty, his whole team, right down to the security guards, and of course, the listeners. It was a goodbye that was just as complex as all the emotions behind it.
And of course, a decision like this doesn't just happen in a bubble. The shockwaves in the studio were immediate, especially for the person sitting right across from him. This was about more than just one man's career.
It was the end of an era.
His co-host, Gandankara, was completely blindsided. I mean, totally speechless. Her reaction was just pure shock, and she said, so heartbreakingly, that it felt like she was being left behind again. That was a reference to a time they'd split up professionally years before. You can just feel the weight of their entire history in that one single moment. Her words just perfectly captured the gravity of what was happening. This is the end of an era. With that simple phrase, she gave a name to what thousands of listeners were probably feeling. For her, for Papa Jackson, and for their whole audience, their show, Cardiac, was over. Just like that.
So it all really boils down to a fundamental question, doesn't it? When you've given your entire life to something, but your heart is just heavy, how do you find the strength to walk away? For Papa Jackson, the answer came from a friend who had been through something similar himself.
And this is the thought I really want to leave you with. This is the advice he got from a friend. Bro, when your heart is heavy, even if you go hungry, that's okay. It's such a powerful idea, right? It puts your own peace of mind above everything else, above security, above loyalty, even above ambition. It's a reminder that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is just choose to make your heart light again.